Matt Jordan is the Senior Technical Account Manager for Skype. And for 2 decades, Matt has been driving innovation of new formats and utilization of new technologies in the broadcast media and event space. Since 2005, Matt's worked for Skype, where he has worked to enable technical solutions that evolve the way that news, entertainment, and live events are communicated in a digital age. Most recently, Matt has lead development of new media that blends both user-generated content and social media with traditional broadcast or online content formats for increased engagement and brand loyalty. And Matt's going to be talking about some of the really cool things that Skype is doing that relate very directly to the world of streaming. And so with that, I'd like to introduce Matt Jordan from Skype. Matt.
Thank you, Eric.
Thank you.
All right, I love it when technology works. Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for being here, especially when we've got such lovely weather outside in the Pacific Ocean and the festivities last night. It's just a real honor to be in the same room with these dedicated individuals like yourselves who are committed to creating new formats and new content in today's digital age. As Eric said, my name is Matt Jordan. I've worked at Skype since 2005, so I've seen a lot of evolution of the Skype product itself. And today I'm going to be talking to you about Skype in media and entertainment, and that's going to be a broad overview of the value proposition that Skype in media can offer to each and every one of your organizations. And I'll also talk about a technological advancement that really is a game changer and really revolutionizing the way that Skype is integrated into broadcast media and online content and new formats. But before I get started, let's just do a little exercise here. If I could get a show of hands for anyone who has never used Skype before, never heard of Skype before. Anybody in the room? Don't be shy, it helps me tailor my content accordingly. Okay, well that's fantastic. I don't see any hands, last chance. Okay, well then I'm gonna take that you all know, at least have heard of Skype, maybe use Skype in your personal life to talk to friends and family all around the globe, adding in video, being able to wave to the grandkids, etc. And maybe you've even taken it one step further. Maybe you've actually included Skype integrations into your streaming content and formats. And for that, I thank you. Historically, however, for those folks that have used Skype in a broadcast and media environment, while it is a great cost point, you know, Skype is a free application you can download from the web, and those Skype to Skype calls, they can go all the way up to 1080 HD, and that's fantastic. But the Skype consumer application that you download from the website may not be optimized for broadcast or online use. So, historically, our partners that have made that jump to increase integrations with Skype and the hundreds of millions of Skype users that are out there, those technical folks that are doing those integrations have had to use the off-the-shelf consumer version of Skype. They download it to a computer, either a PC or a Mac. Maybe they add in a scan converter, some media converters, and then that plugs into the production workflow, into the streaming solution that you all are putting forth for that new exciting content and formats. Well, that works, and that will give you up to 1080 HD, like I said. However, it's a custom solution. It's not always easy. If one of those components needs a firmware upgrade or a software upgrade, maybe that firmware upgrade on your scan converter brings down the whole solution. And so it's a custom solution. It wasn't as easy to deploy as the Skype and Media team would like for all of you to find Skype. But the good news is that all changes today. And I'm going to talk to you about a way that Skype is revolutionizing the way that broadcast media online content is being created with Skype. And it's a hardware-software solution. This is the technical part of my presentation today, so I'll go through Skype TX in detail. Please write down any questions you have, because I will open it up for any and all questions afterwards. And I hope that after all of this, after my presentation, you will see the value proposition that Skype and Media as a whole can bring to each one of your organizations, and how this new technology, Skype TX, can really streamline and improve your overall Skype integrations for online use, improving the overall quality, reliability, and control that you have over calls to any Skype user anywhere in the globe. So, with that being said, I'll start off with a little bit of sizzle.
Let's move on.
Shout out to Skype for holding relationships together.
It's nice to virtually meet you.
Hey! Hello! Hello!
You people are wonderful.
Louise Rowe here, backstage every day during Fashion Week.
Love you.
Hi Simon, it's Mrs. O.
Via Skype, we've got Albert.
Good morning, everybody.
What's going to happen to my parents?
We're going to pass this bill, and you're not going to have to worry about anything.
About 2 million children internally displaced inside Syria.
And with the help of Skype, we're going to attempt people singing together in real time.
I got a couple of Skype messages about how the show's going.
Just watching the show, it's pretty amazing so far.
Skype's got it going on right now, man.
What's up?
You Snapchat me all the time.
I do.
Is everybody ready to use Skype?
Skype high five! Woo!
Look at what, you watching them flip the screen.
Best finale ever.
They're going to be the first magicians in history to get laid.
My mum is the greatest hero I know.
Sweet.
Just say hello, oh, oh.
Skype scavenger hunt.
Hi, Michael. Hi, Danielle. Hi,
All right, so that's my sizzle reel, just to kind of get some of the creative ideas bubbling in your brains about how you can integrate Skype into your formats and some of the exciting ways that you can apply this real-time communication software that is Skype and be able to improve the overall content and formats that you all are creating. Let me give you a little bit of background about Skype. As you saw in that sizzle reel, Skype is all about enabling these unmissable moments, be it a red carpet event with the members of the Thor 2 cast talking to children at the Children's Hospital of Los Angeles who were too ill to ever leave the hospital. They were able to talk to these stars and watch the show, and that was all facilitated via Skype. But we do also broadcast and media as well as live events, and we actually some of you might be saying, hey, wait, Skype, I don't think streams natively, and you are correct. But actually, the inception of Skype and Media, my very team, started back in 2007, and our first gig ever was a streaming event. And we had this wonderful partner some of you may have heard of. Her name's Oprah Winfrey. And Oprah agreed to do a seven-part series on Oprah.com. And we integrated Skype calls live to that Oprah.com live stream. And what was found really quickly during those first 7 segments is that Skype revolutionized the way that Oprah was able to interact with her audience, interact with her fans. Because with Skype, she was able to open up her studio to any living room of any Skype fan or any guest that she wanted via this application called Skype. And not only beyond the technical reach that Skype offered Oprah, we also found, or she also found, that she was able to keep a more natural cadence when communicating with the remote party, as opposed to using a satellite OB truck. So she found that she didn't have to change her cadence at all, and that quickly turned from a 7-segment online deal that we had with Oprah to, by the end of the Oprah Winfrey Show, we had over 100 shows where Oprah Winfrey Show actually used Skype, and she had even a whole segment that was called Where in the Skype Are You?, where she had Skype calls with the North Pole and the South Pole and a submarine under the ocean and Virgin America's flight up in the air and a few others. And it really showcased the versatility that Skype can offer, because really Skype is universal. And it allows you to talk to any Skype user anywhere in the globe. Right now, we have over 300 million Skype users that we consider active users. And that means in the past 30 days, 300 million plus unique Skype IDs have logged into the platform and have made use of Skype one way or another. And that's across all demographics, across the whole globe. Another reason why people are using Skype is because it is social. People have a real affinity to Skype. And people, and not only do people share their own experiences on Skype, but Skype also has a social network. And we have over 30 million plus followers across our social media network that we can turn on to these events. So when we have a call to action, for instance, like a Talking Dead, which is the companion show for The Walking Dead, we can make a call to action via our social network to say, hey, if you'd like to be on The Talking Dead as a Skype contributor, please, follow these instructions. And so we can amplify your own events if we start partnering with one another together. And then I kind of touched on this already, but Skype is available across a multitude of different platforms. Whether you're using a Mac or a PC, an Android or an iOS device, whether you're using an Xbox One or a Samsung Smart TV, you're able to make use of Skype and talk to any other Skype user anywhere in the globe. So what is Skype? I think everybody, no one raised their hands, but I'm just going to buzz through this real quick. So I'm going to boop, 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 boop. Video calling up to 1080 HD. Group video calling up to 9 remote parties. And this is all with the off-the-shelf Skype client. The consumer version you can download for free off of our website. All of these data points. So group video calling, that is now free. You can have 9 remote parties within the Skype client that you can host. If you grew up on television in the States like I did, maybe the Brady Bunch view, that's really what we can offer with the off-the-shelf Skype client, 9 remote parties of 3x3. But it's only standard definition, and maybe that's not what you want to go to air with, and I've got a solution for you that I'll be talking about later. We do video messaging, and some of the sizzle reel that I just showed you showed people giving an async message that they've recorded on any Skype-enabled device, and they sent it to another Skype ID. And for instance, in the sizzle reel, we had fans of Captain America 2 talking about the heroes in their lives. And so these video messages were curated and presented to the stars of the show, and the stars of the show could either answer the question or respond to those messages. Think about the calls to action that you all could drive by telling people, hey, if you'd like to be a part of our show, or if you'd like to try out or be a contestant for a competition that you may have, do a video message and have that content that then you can curate and then stream or put online for later use, because these bits of content, once they are sent to your Skype ID, they don't have to reside within Skype.com. They don't have to reside specifically on one real estate within the internet. So it's a really powerful tool, and we're seeing our broadcast and media partners really adopt video messaging. Voice calls, you can do up to 25 people on a voice call with Skype. That could be 25 Skype users, and then it's free. Or if you wanted to call regular phone numbers, you could call 10 regular phone numbers all around the world, and 15 people could be on Skype. You're going to pay for those calls to the PSTN, to the regular phone numbers, but Skype charges pennies, just pennies on the dollar compared to some of the traditional telephony options that are out there. Group chats, this is also something that is really interesting for broadcast and media folks and folks like yourselves here in the audience, because sometimes you're working with a virtual team. Sometimes you're working with folks that are outside of your organization. You might have freelancers that are not only geographically dispersed, but they're also outside of your email domain. And so maybe you want to have a persistent group chat about an upcoming event, and you can create these group chats where the chat is persistent and you can send out messages to up to 300 folks. They don't have to be a part of your organization, and everybody can communicate real time to one another. And so we see that being used a lot for the workflow management, and especially when you're talking about folks that are either external to your company or not near you geographically. Now, the next one, sending files, this is another one that maybe you haven't thought about, and I just wanted to throw it out there. Skype allows for a file transfer that is, and all of these modes of communication are encrypted end-to-end, first off, and they use the big I, public internet, secondly. But thirdly, with regards to sending files, there is no size limit. So if you have a large AV file, an uncompressed AV file that you want to get from point A to point B, and all you have is the internet and your laptop, you can bring up Skype, talk to your remote bureau or your remote studio and say, hey, I'm going to send you this file right now, and it's encrypted over the big I internet, no size limit, and it's as fast as your connection will support. So we've seen, in the broadcast and media space, people doing dailies transmitted that way, as well as just getting information from point A to point B when it's a file format. Screen sharing, this is very, very rudimentary. It's basically whatever I show on my laptop, people at the far end will see. It's not a full collaborative suite where I could allow, Jose to take control of my PC and start editing a document. There's plenty more that Skype can do, but that's the high level about what Skype, the off-the-shelf consumer app in the hands of hundreds of millions of folks, can do, and what it might be able to do for you all. But let's talk about Skype and Media. Skype and Media is the team that I have had the pleasure and privilege working for since 2007. Since that time, we took those early successes with the Oprah Winfrey team, and we replicated those successes across the globe. And that is with regards to broadcast, that's with regards to editorial, that's with regards to pre-produced content, and streaming is also a part of this. Even though Skype natively doesn't do the streaming, if you've already got your streaming solution, we've got a solution that will allow you to have greater quality, reliability, and control with the Skype integrations, and that's with Skype TX, my little teaser there for a little later in the presentation. What we have, before I click through the bullet points, we have two examples, and both of these are streaming examples where Skype was used. On the upper right, we have Sage Kostenberg, a US snowboarder, gold medalist. He was at the X Games this past January. Sage was on top of a mountain in Colorado. He was carrying that Nokia phone. That Nokia phone is actually able to handle all the way up to 1080 HD Skype calling over 4G or Wi-Fi. And we actually had a Wi-Fi network set up at the top of the mountain for that device to talk to. And that enabled Sage to have a live bidirectional call with his fans. And that handheld device was then making a call to our studio where we had Skype TX, and the output from Skype TX was then fed to xgames.com, where the whole interview and the Skype content then resided for the week. And in fact, it was such a compelling bit of content that it quickly moved from xgames.com into the broadcast with ESPN.com and the ESPN extras for the X Games. Pretty powerful stuff. Sage also made use of video messages where people were able to ask him questions, and he responded just asynchronously. Well, I'll just say async this morning. And the bottom one is the TED Talks, where we had a composer by the name of Eric Whitaker create an actual choral piece that he designed so that it could be done with a remote choir. And in the background, you'll see we have about 30 Skype users up on that screen. That's 30 simultaneous HD calls via Skype with 30 different countries around the globe, all performing live with a live choir on stage at TED Talks. And then that event itself was streamed on the TED Talks streaming solution. And that was really impressive because it goes way beyond that Brady Bunch view that I explained our consumer app the top end is. With this solution that's powered by Skype TX, you're able not only to have a group video call that goes beyond that 9-person limit, you can theoretically do as many Skype callers simultaneously as you'd like, but it also improves the overall quality in that each one of those calls can be up to HD, 1080 HD. And there are additional functionality that are built into Skype TX I'll get into shortly. These are examples of new formats and creative concepts that we've done, and we love to partner with creative folks and technical folks like yourselves, so that if you have an idea that you want to try and get out the gate, Skype and Media is the team that goes above and beyond what the off-the-shelf Skype client can do to create these new formats, to create this new engaging content. It's all powered by Skype. While the studio side may have Skype TX, and that's just a maybe, it will improve things if you have Skype TX, but you can still use that legacy scan converter solution as well. And I'll close out my presentation today with 3 simple tips for you all that will improve your overall Skype performance, either in studio or for those remote participants. So hopefully you'll see some value from that as well. And then with the optimization, that's the Skype TX. That's also my team, the Skype and Media team, where we have both technical resources as well as relationship managers that can put you in touch with those subject matter experts that we've already engaged for Skype and Media. We might have a relationship with Sage already, and if there's an idea where you want to invite Sage into a streaming bit of content you're putting together, perhaps we can help bring those remote contributors. We can definitely help with the best practices. We can definitely help with ensuring your studio solution is rock solid, so that you know that you can send and receive up to 1080 HD with Skype, either via Skype TX or from that off-the-shelf solution. And for more information, we do have a microsite. It's media.skype.com. That website, I'll have a better slide a little bit later, but that's really a great place to get registered. You become part of our own social network so that we can share our best practices, news, etc. We also encourage those members to share their best content or their worst content, and we try to help them ascertain why there may have been a glitch and make sure that that never happens again. And that's on our website, media.skype.com. So, why Skype and Media? Well, we already ascertained most of us have used Skype, and there's hundreds of millions of people out there using Skype. The ubiquity of Skype, 300 million plus users can talk to you. And even if they don't have Skype, it's a simple download, and there's some documentation on our website about a contributor guide that walks someone through going to our website, downloading the client, creating a Skype ID, and within 30 minutes or less, they should be up and running with a video call. So very little barrier to entry in most cases for somebody to be a remote contributor via Skype. New formats, Skype and Media is always trying to go above and beyond what Skype can do, as well as partner with those innovators like yourselves that are coming up with new and exciting ways to deliver content to any number of audience members or any number of device types. And we love it, and we love to go beyond our comfort level. So hopefully after this presentation to you all today, you'll have some great ideas and we'll hear from you. Bringing the world up to speed, this is also one area where Skype really has a sweet spot. Because we are in the hands of so many folks around the world, and because we can work on mobile devices. Imagine a geopolitical event taking place, the snowstorm in Buffalo. If you can get 4G access through that snow and call up your local news station and say, that's where my garage used to be. Bringing the world up to speed as news happens, this is something that we've seen time and time again, mostly in the area of news. So as news breaks, people have used Skype, from the Arab Spring to natural disasters. Making use of that Skype application allows news and media organizations to bring the news to the world as it happens. It's ready when you are. I've pretty much talked about that. You bring up your Skype-enabled device, and away you go. You add the Skype ID of the media outlet that you want to call, and away you go. Skype TX. I know I've been teasing about this, but really this is a game changer for Skype. And this is a purpose-built appliance that's hardware and software. It's running on a rack mount appliance. We announced the Skype TX platform at NAB in April. At IBC, we announced 3 great partners who are our manufacturing partners that are going to go to market with this new exciting platform. And they are NewTek, Riedel, and QuickLink. And while it is Skype at the core, it's running a version of Skype on those boxes, it's optimized for on-air use. And I'll get into that a little bit more later in my technical discussion. This is just a little fun graphic because I used to say when I gave these presentations that the sky was the limit. Well, earlier this year in April 2014, I had to change my tagline because we went to outer space. And we were having live Skype calls from the International Space Station to the Sandy Hook Elementary School. And beyond the technical achievement, that's pretty powerful. I love seeing that. But beyond that, it's the human connection. It is the amount of emotion and the amount of just wonder and awe-inspiring just expressions on people's faces when they were talking to outer space. That was really the feather in my cap. So aside from all the cool technical things I get to do, it's really that human interaction that Skype can add with that video that really gets me excited to get to work every morning. I showed you examples of the X Games. I didn't show you the example from Houston, however, where we had a guy on one of those mega ramps holding a 4G cellular device and take it live down the ramp, flip through the air, and land it while he was talking live with a little kid for xgames.com. And that was pretty powerful stuff. Under the Sea with Fabien Cousteau, Jacques Cousteau's grandson this summer, spent 6+ weeks, maybe longer, under the sea in the Florida Keys with 6 other aquanauts living in a laboratory called Aquarius. And their sole communication mechanism to the world, to their friends and family, to their scientific colleagues, to the classrooms that they talk to on a daily basis, and the media outlets, was all done via Skype. And so they were able to take their tablets around the Aquarius lab environment and actually show how they were living and add video and add a level of understanding that just a phone-in interview from under the sea just wouldn't have done justice. You may have noticed Vice President Biden promising that all of your all of your fears will go away. I don't know if that happened yet, but we did do an integration with the White House in December of 2013, and that incorporated both live Skype calls as well as those video messages. And I have a workflow that shows how Skype, in that particular instance, partnered with the larger Microsoft organization that we're now a part of. You may not know this, Skype is actually part of Microsoft as of 2011, and we've got some real great integration points with the overall Microsoft organization that may be of great benefit and maybe products that you all are already using, and I want to share that with you all today. And then lastly, we had a guy climb to the top of Mount Everest and actually have a live Skype call with the BBC. This was a little over a year ago, but still really, really impressive that you can take a mobile satellite up to the top of Mount Everest, get internet access, bring up Skype, and have a live Skype call to air. So these are just some ideas. If you think of new and exciting, crazy ideas that you can that you want to tackle, Skype and Media wants to hear from you. So this is a little bit of the marketing stuff and how we partner with our broadcast media partners. Skype is central to that equation. We enable from the Skype application for brands to tell their stories and make sure that those stories are engaging, are dynamic, have audio and video. And we've talked about news, we've talked about the red carpets with Marvel. MSN is one of those properties that Skype has started to partner with a great deal. We have the deal with the NFL. Some of you have seen some of the good and bad press, I'm sure, about the Microsoft deal with NFL and some of the jokes that were made there. But what we hope that we can offer from the Skype and Media side is that we will allow each and every one of these partners to achieve their goals by making use of this amazing tool that is Skype. And if we can amplify that with our social media, and if we can improve things for you all as technical resources that are responsible to make this look and sound great, then even better. Our partner reach, these are just some examples across television, film, and digital that we are focused on. The TED Talks was huge, and we continue to have a relationship with them. The U Generation was partnership, and an interesting partnership it was because it was with YouTube. We filmed it at the YouTube studios, but all the remote contributors were not using Hangouts, they were using Skype. And it was with Simon Cowell's production company, and he was finding the next big millennial band or talent. And that was a really successful online-only campaign we just finished. So our value to our partners, such as yourselves, what we allow you to do with Skype is we co-create. So you come with a great idea, we bring whatever resources Skype can bring to the table, and we hopefully can find a match so that we can create these unique, wonderful experiences, this new content. We give you access to our social media of 30 plus million folks, or those subject matter experts that we know as Skype ambassadors. So we might be able to bring somebody in to talk to you all about sport, about health, about science, whatever it may be. The participation, I brought up that example of Talking Dead. If you guys watch The Walking Dead, if you watch The Talking Dead, this coming Sunday we actually have the season finale of The Talking Dead show, and you'll see that we have had, just from last Sunday's announcement, which was the call to action, in the behind the scenes, we have thousands of submissions already of video messages of people that want to be a part of that show. And think about how much you can build your brand and your brand loyalty if people feel that they're actually participating. They're giving you user-generated content for you then to incorporate into your streaming solution, broadcast or media content that you're creating. Shaping the experience. Skype does allow you to have that point-to-point HD call, so I could have a discussion with Fabien Cousteau, and he could be a big talking head from under the sea right here. But we could also say, hey, we want to have Fabien, and then we want to have oceanographers from 7 different continents as well. And so we could use the technology behind Skype to serve up all of those images. They could all see and hear one another. They could all see and hear you. So there's a lot of flexibility in the shape of a Skype engagement. And then sharing it through our social media, sharing it through your social media. I think that one of the key differentiators of the Skype solution, Skype and Media solution, is once you've created this content that you have created, and Skype may just be a small portion of that overall content, you can decide where that content resides. It doesn't have to be beholden to just one property on the net and forcing everybody to go to that one property to see your content. So I think that that's pretty unique for us. Our overview, this is the last marketing slide for you all before I get technical. By engaging with the Skype and Media team, we can improve the overall quality of your Skype experience. We can give you those best practices. We can, in certain cases, offer up technical assistance from afar or on the ground. And we can also monitor some of the traffic that may be generated, like, for instance, with those video messages. We're able to see for Talking Dead that they had several thousand within days of making the announcement. The creative control, it's in your hands. So you all get to ideate what you are trying to accomplish. Skype and Media is there to help you achieve those goals. Cost efficiencies, you know, if I can go back to an example with the Ellen DeGeneres show, when we first started doing work with Ellen DeGeneres, Skype was the fallback. And they always sent an OB truck and a production staff out to do these remote interviews. And those costs for that production staff and that technology easily could be $10,000 a day, sometimes more. And after being able to showcase our solution, showcase the quality, reliability, and control that they were able to achieve with incorporating Skype TX into the Ellen show, that flipped. And Skype became the primary. And they stopped sending out production company folks and technology to do these remote interviews. And they're able to get HD quality at a much lower cost point. And then effective account management and support. Aside from myself, there are some very, very intelligent folks. Our innovation manager, who is leading our charge on our streaming and new technologies, he's based out of the UK. We've got folks in LA, we've got folks in New York, we've got folks in Europe, and we really do have the people and the process that might be able to help you all with creating this new content, if it includes Skype. I brought up our Skype and Media site. It's media.skype.com. It's a mixture of examples of great content. It's a mixture of a social forum so that people can ask questions, get answers, get templates of the Skype logo, the Skype sounds, so that if you are using the magic of media to create a bit of content and you just want it to look like Skype, a lot of our film partners do take that route and just use the graphics and a green screen and make it happen in post-production. And we're okay with that as well, as long as it looks and sounds like Skype really does. We're fine with it. And it's just a real wealth of information. So I would ask you all, if you are interested in anything I've had to say today, media.skype.com is the place to get started. Now, I will take off that marketing hat, throw on my Skype TX hat, and say to you all that ever since 2007, I would be going into our broadcast and media partners, and I would say, okay, well, Skype, thank you for using it, and you're doing a great job. Here are the best practices with the off-the-shelf Skype client. And the technical director would say, yeah, but my engineers want HD SDI. They want something that's studio grade. And really, all we had at that point, up until this year, was a consumer app that we could give best practices for that type of integration. And that changes today with Skype TX. So let me talk a little bit more about that. Skype TX, like I said, was announced at NAB. We announced our hardware partners, manufacturing partners at IBC in September, NewTek, Riedel, and QuickLink. Each partner has the same Skype TX software. Their hardware form factor is different, and each partner has their own unique value proposition. And I'll try to do my best to explain those unique value propositions a little bit later. But of course, our partners themselves can really tell you where they shine. It's broadcast ready, it's simple to install and easy to use, rack mountable PC running Skype at its core. It's studio grade, so it can be run 24/7. You can put, you can fill a whole rack in your equipment room with these, and as long as they are then tied into power, the internet, and routing to your audio and video mixing board, then you're ready to rock and roll. And this Skype TX box, it doesn't just talk to another Skype TX box. It actually allows you to talk to any Skype user anywhere in the globe, no matter what device they're using. So I might be in a studio, lapel mic. I might be in a studio in LA, and I'm talking to someone who is on their smartphone in, who knows, maybe let's say Afghanistan. And because they may have limited access to internet, or maybe because the device itself doesn't do HD, they might be coming in at standard definition. Skype TX does some amazing things to take that standard definition call with less than stellar network environments and optimize it for on-air use. And let me show you how it does that. So a little bit more about the hardware solution itself. HD SDI video output and input. It does have embedded audio in that HD SDI if you so desire, but you could also have your audio be analog via XLR if you so desire. The auto aspect conversion, I was talking about that person making a call from their smartphone. In standard definition, they may come to you in 4:3, and Skype is dynamic, and if a device can go to HD, it'll jump to 16:9. But what if the network takes a hit, or what if the appliance doesn't have the processor and it drops back down to 4:3? You may see with the off-the-shelf Skype the shot going from 16:9 to 4:3, and that just drives producers crazy. Well, Skype TX allows you to force the aspect ratio to 16:9. So even if I had a standard definition, low-res call via Skype from someone out using 3G and a mobile phone, I can have it hit the Skype TX box, and as it leaves that hardware, we up-convert it to 720, we force it to 16:9, and we've taken this less than stellar Skype call and done all that we can with color correction and other things that Skype TX can do to make sure that it looks and sounds as best as possible when you are creating your content. Single operator multi-channel control. What that means is one person can control a multitude of Skype calls. In that TED Talks example that I showed in our sizzle reel, we had one operator of the control system managing 40 simultaneous calls around the globe. And this person was able to not only see the call statistics for each individual one, but by making use of other ancillary systems, talk back to them individually, give them feedback. And it really is something that if you are doing a talk show type format and you have folks in queue, it's great because you can get people up and lined up in queue, get them ready for air, and just keep them in queue. And then when you're ready, hit the button on your vision mixer and away you go, they're live on air. Auto fail back to still. Now, Skype, like I said, is dynamic in the way that it allocates the audio and video resolution and stream. In fact, the streams for audio and video are two different streams with Skype. And Skype will always try to keep the audio quality as high as possible. And if the network degrades for whatever reason and the video quality starts failing and you're getting lower and lower resolution, Skype TX allows you to put a threshold in and say, you know what, if it drops below 640 by 480, I want to go to a still image. And that could be a still image that I've taken of Philip when we're talking about the new talk show from New Tech. And Philip's able to keep talking while his device is recovering. We just have a still image that we've taken of Philip, and we're audio only at that point. And if the resolution comes up again above that 640 by 480, then it goes back to video. But it's automatic. It prevents a low quality video call from going to air if you so desire, because Skype is pretty amazing in the way that it can handle video calling. I've actually seen video calls at less than dial-up speeds. Now, that's 5 frames per second, and it looks like something you probably wouldn't put to air, but it does work. So this auto failback is pretty phenomenal, and being automatic, it just saves your technical folks some time scrambling to make that transition. Operator previews, I talked about that. The control software gives you a great deal of information about the Skype call that you're never going to see in the off-the-shelf client. You're going to see the version of the Skype client that's used on the far end. You're going to see packet loss from the far end, their CPU utilization, what the round trip is. You're going to see the resolution, you're going to see their frame rate, all of these things. And by having that wealth of information available, I can say, oh my goodness, James and I were having this talk about him winning this wonderful helicopter, and I'm interviewing him. And I go, you know what, before we go to air, I see that you're using a version of Skype that's 2 years old. Can you download the latest and greatest? James does so, brings back Skype, and because he's using the latest and greatest, chances are he's going to have increased functionality, improved codecs, etc. And I've seen real-world examples where just upgrading that software can do a world's difference. Or you can say, hey, I see 30% packet loss from your side. Looks like you might be on Wi-Fi or something. Can you get a direct hardwire Ethernet connection to an unfettered internet connection? Those sort of things can help you troubleshoot a Skype call so that when you go to air, you know that you're going to have the best possible quality out of Skype. And Skype TX really helps enable that. And the call quality monitoring, that's exactly what I just covered. Taking a look at all of these parameters, ascertaining, okay, this person is good for air, or this person seems to have some problems. What can I do to improve that situation? Or do I have to say next, which sometimes you do. This is an example of the generic workflow for Skype TX. We have on the left-hand side a Skype-enabled device. It may be a mobile device, it may be a desktop or a laptop. They're just using the off-the-shelf Skype. Skype TX, the next one to the right, those units then place an outbound call to that Skype ID. And that Skype TX box establishes a point-to-point Skype call. That can go all the way up to 1080 HD, like I said. And it optimizes and it does that aspect ratio conversion, etc. And then the output from the TX box can go into your video switcher and audio mixer. And so you can feed back program audio, program video, so that the far end remote person is seeing what's going on in your studio. There's no picture-in-picture to confuse them. They're not going to see themselves, or you're not going to see your picture-in-picture of studio feed going back to them when you go to air. It's really optimized for on-air use, broadcast and media use. And the output from your video and audio mixers can go straight into your streaming solution. So if you already have a streaming solution, a streaming platform that you want to be able to incorporate Skype into with improved quality, reliability, and control, then Skype TX is what you want to have in your environment. This is the example of the Ask the White House event we did in December of last year, and it kind of showcases how Skype spans the overall Microsoft ecosystem. So we started with group video calling guests. We had a call to action. We did both video messages as well as live Skype calls. And so up in the upper left-hand corner here, we've got the Skype users using whatever device they use to use Skype. That came down to the Skype TX boxes here that we had in Washington, D.C. We loaded them into the White House for this event. We had the White House studio, so we made use of the existing audio and video infrastructure within the White House, and because Skype TX takes those common industry standard connections, it was very quick and easy for us to integrate into their studio. And then we fed all of that into a vision mixer. And we fed not only the Skype TX feeds, but we also fed a native audio-video stream to the vision mixer that then could be sent across the fiber switch network from Washington, D.C., and this is outside of the control of Microsoft, but you all know the players that can help facilitate this. And that audio video, both the Skype call as well as that raw audio and video content was fed over the fiber network to Microsoft Studios. And I don't know if anyone saw yesterday Corey Smith and team from Microsoft talk about some of the content they're creating out in Bellevue, but we've outfitted several of the Microsoft studios in Bellevue with Skype TX. They're actually our largest deployment. I think we have nearly 50 of these boxes, so the ability to handle 50 concurrent Skype calls peppered throughout Bellevue and Redmond, Washington. And the studios then took those feeds, fed it into an encoder, and then fed it to Windows or Azure Media Services. Azure Media Services then was able to optimize that for any device type. So it could be optimized for a mobile or for an Xbox experience or for a laptop or a larger screen experience. And at the far end, we have Bing and Xbox One. Bing was actually carrying the stream. So if you were not part of that bidirectional discussion with the vice president, but you wanted to watch and hear what was being said, you went to bing.com. You were able to not only watch the live event as it took place, but also using Bing voting, put in your own comments, give a thumbs up or thumbs down to whatever was being said. And so we were trending and tracking that. That was also being done on Xbox One, where we had our own channel. So Xbox One users could just go to this channel, watch this live event, and participate, even though they weren't actually on the Skype calls that were being broadcast. So that's kind of my one Microsoft slide. So I've done my good corporate diligence there. Skype TX has a really impressive list of success stories. Jimmy Kimmel Live, Ellen, The Extra Factor. That's something that is replicated in multiple markets. We do this in the UK and in the US. Talking Dead, I mentioned, White House, Sky News, Al Jazeera, great partner of ours. TED Talks has been just phenomenal, allowing us to go above and beyond our comfort level and develop these new technologies. X Games are a lot of fun, movies are a lot of fun, but we're seeing more and more in the broadcast or in the streaming arena, and that was one of the reasons why we were so excited to come and talk to you all today. And it's been a pleasure for me to learn a little bit about what you all do during the last couple of days. As I mentioned, 3 partners, NewTek, Readle, and QuickLink. Same software running on each one of these devices. It's Skype TX. It can talk to any Skype user anywhere in the world, but it's optimized for on-air use. It doesn't have chat. It doesn't have pop-up messages. It doesn't have file transfer and some of the other things that are baked into the consumer app. It's really optimized for audio and video. And each one of our partners, NewTek, Readle, and QuickLink, have their unique value prop. If I can give my own perspective as an outsider, if you have a TriCaster already in the mix, then the NewTek talk show is a no-brainer. The integration point with the TriCaster is elegant, and it expands the value of both products, in my opinion, when they're coupled together. Readle, if you have an expansive Readle talkback system or intercom system already, then maybe the Readle box is what's for you. And QuickLink, if you have their product suite, then that might also be a reason to choose QuickLink. It's also, without discounting any of the value add they can offer, they're also probably the entry-level appliance for the 3 partners. And I would encourage you all to go to these websites or media.skype.com to learn more and learn about their specific value prop as it pertains to your organizations. Okay, so if I have gone through all of this and I still haven't convinced you that Skype TX is the way to go to revolutionize your Skype integration, I still want you to come out of this being able to produce better content when you do use Skype. So if you're still committed to using your laptop and a scan converter, here are 3 simple tips that you can do to improve your own in-studio Skype performance, as well as a tip that you can share to any remote user of Skype so that they look and sound great. Because really it's what they look and sound like that's most important when it hits your studio and then goes to your streaming solution. So here they are. This is the bonus. So thank you for sitting through this. 3 simple tips. First, download the latest and greatest Skype. Go to skype.com, go to download, /download. It will recognize what sort of device and operating system the person has. It'll allow you to download the appropriate application for that device. And like I said, making use of the latest and greatest will ensure you have the functionality, the latest and greatest codecs, etc. So that's number 1. Number 2, use a robust, unfettered internet connection. Skype uses the public internet. It has to have the internet. If you don't have the internet, then even the beauty and the wonder and the magic that is Skype won't work. But if you have Ethernet or Wi-Fi, even 4G and 3G, Skype will work. But in order of preference, it would be a hardwired Ethernet connection or a broadband connection at a home, followed by Wi-Fi, followed by 4G, and then by 3G. And these are some of the bit rates that you'll see with the various different types of calls that take place. And Skype is very economic when we're talking about standard definition, but when we start making the jump to HD quality, you're going to want to make sure that you have that dedicated, unfettered broadband connection that can handle higher speeds up and down so that you can get all the way up to 1080 HD. So that's number 2. Number 3 is set your shot. And you all probably know this more than anyone, being in a technical and production background, but make sure that you don't let somebody sit in front of a big bright window or Venetian blinds. Make sure that they are closing other applications or telling other people at their home, hey, stop streaming Netflix right now. I'm getting ready to interview via Skype. Avoid backlighting, I mentioned. Isolate the audio. Oftentimes people are using the embedded microphone on their laptop and the camera that's on the bevel. And while that will work, and in some cases certain devices will all go to HD quality and give you great audio and video, maybe it's adding in earbuds. Maybe it's using a USB speakerphone so that you could have multiple people that are not sitting close to one another still be heard. Headsets, while they don't look great for a shot, they can definitely improve the audio from the far end and also isolate the return audio so that you're not creating any audio feedback loops possibly. The addition of a USB webcam is sometimes preferred as well because, a Logitech 920 or 910, and there's a myriad of other makers out there, but for this example, the Logitech 920, it's Skype certified to go all the way up to 1080 HD, and it's got a great microphone built into it as well. So it takes some of the processing off of the PC for both that audio and video and does it in the camera. And it improves the overall optics because it's got a Carl Zeiss lens on it, and it's got that mic array. So even if it is going to be standard definition still, it's going to look and sound more crisp, better quality than if maybe you're using the integrated bevel and integrated mic on a device. And I put a little space in between this because I really want to call it out. As with all things, you want to test beforehand. If you have to go live without a test, then it can be done. It has been done plenty of times, but to be able to do that test call beforehand with your remote contributor, see the network statistics that are available, walk them through improving their Skype performance by following these 3 simple steps, then you know that when you do go to air, when your event is live, that you've done your best to ensure that the quality is there. So that brings us to the Q&A. I hope that you have found that Skype in Media can add value to each and every one of your organizations, either with the legacy consumer application and how people have been using Skype to integrate into streaming solutions up until this point. But more importantly, I hope that you find a desire to learn more about Skype TX, because this really is a game changer and really will open up so many avenues for new and exciting content to be created online with all of you. So thank you very much.